Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. This is in fact the final episode of this series. We are going to be finishing this episode. Now we're about to have a staging event here in about 20 seconds, and so why we came back here. When I restarted the game, I had to redo this encounter. I'm probably going to fine-tune this a little bit off camera once we have this burn completed. But for the time being, we're going to get this stage done here. 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Excellent. And we're out of here. So let's physics warp on forward. We don't care about these anymore. And we are going to burn our way through the rest of this burn. I do want to fine-tune this actually on camera. Looking at the timing here, it's going to be like 4 minutes until this burn is over. Under physics warp, that's like 1 minute. So that should be reasonably fine. This may end up being a little bit of a long episode. We'll see. But that would be absolutely okay. It is, after all, the final episode, so no worries whatsoever there. That said, I must apologize. This episode is late, and that is due to the winter storm that's currently hitting the north of basically the entire US right now. It's grim, and it has delayed things. So I apologize for that, but it is what it is. Not much we can do about that one. So let's finish up this burn here. We've got about 1.5 minutes on it. No concerns there, really. 200 meters per second to go. Now, this is going to get us a minimal encounter. I'm not sure if this is prograde or retrograde. We can figure that out. But for the moment, we're going to need to come out of physics warp here. I'm going to keep going for a few seconds here under physics warp. Okay. 4, 3, 2, 1. And we don't quite have this encounter. Okay. That should be good enough for the time being. Now we can fine-tune this in. This is very sensitive. Okay. And I can also see that our inclination is going to be a little weird. Let's see. We're coming in this direction. What way is this orbiting? This way. Okay. So we're coming in this direction. We'll be orbiting prograde. Cool. So if we wanted to add a braking burn here, what would that end up looking like? That would be reasonably lengthy. We certainly could do it. We wouldn't need to be concerned about... Honestly, this inclination is probably fine. We could toss in a little bit of a equalization there, and then bring this guy in. I think that's okay as far as inclination goes. So we would bring this down to, you know, somewhere around maybe 40 kilometers. So something along the lines of this. Cool. Now, this is going to be a 6-year time warp. I'm definitely not going to make you sit through that. So let's bring this on in here. And as we can see, this inclination is fine. It's good enough. It's not going to be perfectly equatorial, but it doesn't have to be. So let's align for this burn. And we're seeing this move around. The real question is, are we going to continue to see it move once we warp? Is this going to be a valid maneuver once we start our time warp? If not, we can redo this in our warp. That wouldn't be the biggest of deals. So let's get this aligned, and we'll begin our warp and verify that this is going to be fine. I'll make a quick save just in case, but we're not going to revert to it almost certainly. No, this looks good. Okay, so we've got a 6-year time warp. So I'll see you guys at the end of this warp. Okay, so here we are, about halfway through our braking burn. We've gotten our time warp done. We have Elu off in the distance there, and we are coming on in. We're not in orbit yet, but we're slowing down. Fantastic. It's very difficult to get trapped by Elu's gravity, especially this far out. So we are going to continue to slow down to virtually an orbital speed of 0, is what's going to end up happening here. Which is slightly insane. Of course, we are in 4x physics warp. So we've got about 30 seconds of real-time burn here left. So that'll be absolutely fine. No problem whatsoever there. We've got more than enough delta V to make this happen. And we'll do another braking burn at the periapsis once we have a defined periapsis. That'll be fine. And here we go. Now we're entering orbit. Okay, I'm going to take us out of physics warp. We've got about 20 seconds left in this burn. Beautiful. And down we go. This is going to be a very elliptical orbit for now, but we will be fixing that. About 8 seconds left in this burn. Excellent. So right about here will do. And we'll come down to this periapsis and do a circularization. That'll be about another 200 meters per second. That is not very much at all. Excellent. Okay, so we've got 968 left in our liquid fuel tank. That's completely fine. Let's head on over to this node. That'll be in about 30 days, but we'll need to get oriented for it. Now, where is Elu? It's around somewhere. There it is. Hello, Elu. We are on our way there. Okay, so we're about oriented here. Let's go ahead and warp forward. It's only about 30 days. That's not too bad. I'm going to get aligned a little bit closer. There we go. So in we warp, and here we come, Elu. So we're going to have about 222 meters per second to burn off here. We'll have 968 left in our nuclear engine, so more than enough delta V here, even with us taking some slightly inefficient approaches. Do we want to grab our in-space high science or in-space low science? Honestly, it doesn't matter. This is the final episode. We just want to have some science. So let's go ahead and do that right now while we don't really have anything else that we're doing. So that'll be okay. We'll grab all of this data. Kind of funny that this doesn't happen basically instantly while we're time warping, but it doesn't. It's accelerated under physics warp, but not time warp. Okay, so there's all of that data, and we're just slowly falling towards Elu right now. Allegedly, we have 5 kilometers per second of horizontal speed over Elu. It's calculating that strangely. By the time we get there, down here, it won't be anywhere near that high. I think it's because of how elliptical our orbit is, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to come around over here and prepare for this braking burn. Let's physics warp since we are a little bit off of our node. There we go. And we'll be commencing this burn in a few seconds. I'm going to leave it physics warping. That should be fine. We do not have a connection right now, but we can still throttle up to full, which is exactly what we're going to do. Cool. We can come out of physics warp here in a few seconds. Yep, let's come out of physics warp. We've got about 20 seconds left in this burn. Now, we don't have any probe control right now. So we don't have a pilot in here either. So that, of course, means that we're occluded from the KSC by Elu, which is definitely true. But we'll just bring this around. We want to land on the light side anyway, and we know for a fact with Elu that the light side will always be pointing more or less towards Kerbal, right? And we can't actually delete this maneuver. Let's go ahead and... I don't want to warp to next maneuver. I wanted to warp up over here, which apparently we can't auto-warp. Okay, that's fine. We'll just move on forward, and let's get our data back. Any moment now. There we go. There's our data. So we can say that this is good enough, and we can just continue to warp to, like, somewhere around here. And then we're going to go to horizontal velocity minus, or maybe even just surface velocity minus. Yeah, that'll be fine. Let's go ahead and physics warp here. We're going to be coming in for a landing. Let's go ahead and extend our landing gear. We've got 746 meters per second left in this engine, and it's 1.9 thrust to weight. In theory, we could almost land on this. I think our delta V would maybe be slightly low for that, but we're going to burn what we can out of it. And let's go ahead and burn this. Starting about now, actually. So we're going to come on in for a landing. Hopefully we don't land on anything too bumpy, but we should have enough delta V to make this happen. Cool. I mean, overall, Elu looks relatively smooth, but it always looks smooth from this height, so we'll see. Cool. So we've got about 2 minutes of burn time left here. We can definitely see we don't have enough delta V to land on this. We want to be in surface mode here. We're definitely trailing behind this a little bit, but that's fine. We want to kill our horizontal speed. Okay, 85 seconds of burn. There's a little bit more burn time here than I thought that there was. Kill rot. We're watching this horizontal speed. That's probably good enough. Let's go back to surface velocity minus, and let's warp forward a little bit here. Okay, we're gonna warp forward until our suicide burn countdown is at... Looking at the length here, honestly, like minus 10. Minus 10 should be fine. We have higher thrust to weight up here. So we just want to burn out this tank and then switch over to this. So we're physics warping down. We're at 40 right now. 30. 20. Can we grab this GUI report? Yes, we can. 10. Continuing to warp down. Okay. Starting up the burn now. A little earlier than what I said, but that's fine. Time is going up. That's a little bit spooky. But we'll see. We've got 60 seconds of burn time here. What is our actual radar altitude? If we get to, say, 6,500 kilometers, I think, and we are not burned out here yet, I think we should switch our engines over. Yep, we should do it now. Okay, this is better. It's not perfect, but it's better. Our thrust to weight will come up, though, as we burn down. This is not too far negative, but it's a little bit negative. It looks like it's wanting to hold at -3. That's not a great sign. It's actually going up a little bit. That's a really non-great sign. Well, we're at about 95 meters per second. Is KER completely messing us up here? Maybe. This impact time is coming down, but I think we might... Yeah, we're okay. We're okay. Look at that slowdown on that impact time. It's going up now. We're good. We're good. Okay. I trusted it, and it was right. Sometimes it's not. It always feels awkward. We're going to cut our engines at this time. So we're going to retract our boom here. We're just letting this coast on down for the time being. Okay. We're cutting our velocity again. Cool. We're about 300 meters up, so I'm going to do this one more time. Cool. From here, we're probably just going to fly on gut. Is what I think is going to happen here. So we're accelerating a little bit. Let's get this decelerating slightly. We're about 100 meters up. Let's decelerate a little bit more. The ground looks reasonably flat here. That's good. And let's bring this right on in. Let's go to kill rot. Are we tipping? Nope. We're good. Okay. So at this point, of course, we need to deploy over here. So we're going to have Barnard EVA. All hatches are obstructed. What? No, not Barnard. Kimry. Kimry EVAs. Okay. And we need to deploy these guys, right? Absolutely we need to. So we're going to hop into EVA mode, EVA construction mode, and we're going to detach these struts. Okay. Mission number 1. Get this guy deployed. Whoa, that's fast. That was really fast. This traverse rate is at 90. Okay. Noted. We're going to turn that down. We're going to turn that down. Cool. We need to do that for all of these. Apparently, this traverse rate didn't get turned down. So, a traverse rate of 90 is incredibly fast, and I'm actually shocked that nothing blew up from that. So we're going to get all of these turned on down. But now that we have this one deployed, we should be much, much safer. Let's go ahead and detach the struts for all of the others. Cool. And now we can board again, and we will get all of these deployed. So this will go down to 90 degrees. There we go. And this one will go down to 90 degrees. Cool. And finally, this one down to 90 degrees. Now, are we better off sitting on our engine as opposed to the landing strut? Maybe. Oh yeah, we definitely are. So we'll just retract that, and we'll sit right here like this. Looks good. Let's go ahead and deploy our thermal control system and our other thermal control system. Let's get our mining set up. I do think that we probably want to extend this guy out a bit, but we may actually just end up sitting on our mining drills, which is probably reasonably okay. So I guess 1 degree is fine. Wanted to get it to 0, but didn't quite get there in the end. Okay, there, that one works. So we'll go ahead and deploy these drills. We're probably going to be sitting on the drill. Yeah, we definitely are. Let's extend this cylinder just to take some of the weight off of that. About like that. And I guess we can extend these up to like that same 0.4 number if we really wanted to, but I kind of don't. So we're not going to do that. We are going to start our drill. And our other drill. We should probably, let's see, where is Kimry? Are you here? Kimry's here, Bartnard is here. Okay, so we'll transfer Bartnard over to here. There we go. And then Bartnard's going to EVA. And Bartnard's goal, of course, is to help us set up our deployable science. So we'll just hop out over here. Elu's gravity is surprisingly high. We'll grab our EVA report and our surface sample. That'll be fine. And now, of course, we're going to need Kimry to EVA. And we're going to go land somewhere. Like over here sounds good? Or maybe on the other side. Yeah, this gravity is definitely a little higher than I expect it to be, but whatever. It's fine. We're also clipping through this rock. It's because of the clipping through the rock, I'm going to put the put this over here. That'll be fine. Okay. So at this point, we're going to need Bartnard to grab the parachute and the EVA pack. And we're just going to put in the weather analyzer first, I guess. And let's go this direction. Kimry, you can go ahead and drop that. Sure, there'll work. And let's go ahead and grab the control unit. Beautiful. We'll deposit that. And we'll grab the Guab ED monitor. And we'll deposit this on the ground. Fantastic. And then we'll grab the ionographer. And deposit that on the ground as well. The question is, just how much power are we going to need? It's not going to be all of this. I don't think the power has any sort of like attenuation with distance from the sun, so it should, in theory, be okay. I'm just going to go ahead and deposit our... what is this thing again? I forget which one that one is. Oh, that's the passive seismometer. Right. And then we'll go ahead and get ourselves our communications device. Cool. So with that there, we of course now know how much power we're going to need, and the answer is 5. We need 5 power. So that should be like only a couple of these. Okay, so Kimry, go ahead and put down this one. We'll deposit it out over this way. Cool. And now we're going to grab another one. That should be 2. So we'll deposit that one out over here. If we can get through. There we go. Fantastic. And the last one. This should be the last one that we need. We'll deposit that one, like, over here. Okay, are we good? Yes. Yes, we are. Fantastic. So now we are going to hop over here, put the EVA pack put the parachute on, and actually we're making really good time. This may actually end up being a short episode. I was expecting it to be a long one. Oh, wow. We are stuck on something. We're having a hard time EVAing, but we can just jump. And Kimry is our engineer, so we're going to fly back up over here and hop on in. Kimry's job is done. We don't need Kimry for anything else here. Bartnard, of course, needs to hop down over here and climb into the science unit. Now we need to fill the science unit with science. So let's go ahead and open this on up. And we will grab our negative gravioli data. We'll process that in the lab for 275 science. Our press map barometer, we'll process that in the lab. We'll log seismic data and process that in the lab. Actually, that's 400 data. That's a lot of data. Let's review this data. 138, does that fit? Actually, yes, it does. Beautiful. So we've got 578 out of 750. We can probably fit more in there. Okay, now we've got pretty close to our maximum amount. So let's go ahead and get processing here. So we will start research. And there we go. That is our ELU outpost. Completely done. I like it. Cool. So that is an outpost on every body in KSP1. We are, of course, going to be going into KSP2 in the next episode, and I did look to see when the release time would be. It looks like it's going to be in the morning, so I'm probably at like 9 a.m. my time. So I'm probably, I haven't double-checked that, actually, now that I think about it. It might be like an hour or two off of that. I think it was EST, so like, it'll be interesting. It might be slightly late. If it's going to be late, I'm probably going to premiere KSP2 at the normal premiere time at 3 p.m. But we'll see. We'll see what that ends up looking like. I'm not prepared to make an announcement on that just yet. Let's hop into our mission control, see if we've got anything that we need to do. I mean, planting a flag on Bop and Tylo would be really easy, and on Elu would be really, really easy. But honestly, we don't need to. This is the end of the series. Let's hop into the tracking station, and we can admire all of our colonies on all of the worlds. Some of them more functional than others. Okay, so we can get rid of these Elu outpost debris. This is our 4 strap-on tanks that we got rid of at the beginning of this episode. So we'll get rid of those, and we are then going to just go through these real quick. So we've got our satellite heavy lifter here over Kerbal. We've got this satellite heavy lifter over Kerbal. So we've got a polar and an equatorial orbit there. We've got our... Oh, we're actually going to go to the moon. I didn't intend to do this necessarily, but we're going to hop over to the moon, apparently, where we have our deployed science here. Now, this is a little bit different. This was deployed separately from the moon colony. Things were janky back then, for sure. Nowhere near as oiled of a machine as it became later. So, apparently this is taking a while to load. Again, I didn't intend to come in here. We are going to hop back to the Space Center, basically as soon as we can, but here we are at the moon. Fantastic. As I said, there's no colony here. The colony on the moon is elsewhere. Back to the tracking station we go. That was not a complete waste of time or anything. I like it. Okay, so where were we? As soon as this loads in, but this should load in fairly quickly in theory. Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. So we've got this multi-satellite machine that I actually never deployed all of the relays from, but we've got one out at the far reaches of the Kerbal system. We've got one in polar orbit, and we've got one orbiting the moon. And then I just kind of abandoned that. But we've got our Prototypine experiment control stations at Minmus, and those are actually located also separately from the colony, I believe. Yeah, the colony is on this side over here, and that's where the experiment control stations are. So there's our colony on the moon. That is in the dark side right now. This is our experiment controls on Gilly, which are also actually separate from our colony. Here's our Minmus colony. There we go. And we do have this multi-satellite machine relay satellite orbiting Minmus. Then we have our long-range communications machine outside of Gilly in a polar orbit. And our colony core on Gilly, our first outside the Kerbal system. And of course our long-range communication satellite orbiting Eve in a fairly elliptical orbit. That didn't run out of fuel, we just kind of left it in this orbit. Eventually it's probably going to intercept Gilly, right? That's probably modified its orbit, but that's okay, not a big deal. Here's our Eve outpost. This one took a while. No doubt about that. That was some pretty hefty R&D that one took. No doubt about that one. And of course the experiment control station at Eve that is located at the same place as the outpost. And of course our splashing machine that became a communication satellite but was just to fulfill a contract to drop something into the oceans of Eve. So we have this splashing machine probe that is splashed down for that purpose. And then we've got, of course, our Moho outpost with its Probodobodyne control center, which was brought with it and is dropped at the same location. It's definitely fully functional. There are no problems with the mining. And we also have our Ike outpost landed out over here. I believe this one is legitimately fully functional. Excellent. With its deployed science. Our Duna outpost, which had its nice little miniature atmospheric reentry. Oh my, that's... There we go. Some atmospheric scattering weirdness going on there. And then there's our Dress long-range communication machine that we set up out here because we knew that we would have difficulties with communication in the outer system. Our Dress outpost, which is on the planet that does not exist. This planet doesn't exist. No one has ever gone here. And, of course, our long-range communication machine outside of Jool for the same reason. We were going to have a large amount of issues with communications out here without some relays. Our Jool multi-outpost, we launched 5 colonies all at once out to Jool. It was kind of insane. We landed at Pull. We landed at Lathe. We delivered some parachutes to Lathe because we forgot to include those. And this became another communication satellite after we were done with it. We landed on Tylo. That definitely went entirely according to plan. Same with the Lathe one. We are orbiting Jool. I accidentally double-clicked that, so we're loading into this again. But we do have this orbiting Jool, since of course we can't we can't land on Jool, right? It's a gas giant. But we did send a probe down to the core of Jool, or as close to the core as you can get before the kill sphere will kill you. So we've got this guy here orbiting Jool. Excellent. And back to the tracking station. We're under acceleration? What? We should not be under acceleration. Leave anyway. Fantastic. So we also landed on all of the Julian moons. We landed on Vol, we landed on Bop, we landed on Pull. All of them are landed on. And finally, the Elu landing that we just did. They have colonies set up on all of them. The colonies are pretty samey, I'm not gonna lie. But that was done for purposes of time. Okay, so this was our Jool ship, and then we've got our Vol. Yep. We've got our Tylo refueler that brought fuel out to Tylo because we didn't have quite enough to land. Tylo's a difficult one to land on, no doubt about that. But this one became a communication satellite once we were done with it. It still got a good amount of fuel and oxidizer that we didn't need. And of course, our experiment control center at Tylo. And then we've got our multi-outpost ship at Bop, which that one didn't actually have the experiment control centers. A couple of these didn't because they didn't duplicate correctly, but that's fine. And of course, our colony at Pull, or rather our deployed science at Pull. Our colony at Pull is actually up here. And then finally, our Elu outpost. And all is good. We have a colony on every body in the Kerbal system, and I think that that is a good send-off to KSP-1. I really do. I'm very pleased with that. So realistically, KSP-2 is probably going to be a little bit bare bones. I've not been keeping up with the... I've noticed that there's apparently some controversy about it. I've not been keeping up with it. I want to go into KSP-2 pretty blind. I'm expecting it to be a little prettier than base KSP-1, but a little bare bones in the early access. And I think that's exactly what we're going to find. So I don't know what we're going to do in KSP-2 yet. That kind of depends on what's actually there, and we'll have to figure that out. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and there isn't going to be a next episode of this series, but we are, next time, going to be starting up with KSP 2. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Kentuin, James, Shadowwolf, Mlohan80, Kentogan, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Spartan News, Unisul, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.